So this comment here exemplifies one of my biggest fears of being online and one of my biggest fears in general. One of the reasons that I'm so reflective, that I take so much time to speak from my own experiences, is because I am so terrified of the disposability and therefore, the right for others to accuse, abuse, discard, and dispose of me if I make a mistake. Now, some people veer into people pleasing and perfectionism, and I've definitely played my hand at that.
Same.
But I think a lot of my introspection, a lot of my desire to be curious, to take the meat, spit the bones, to use any resource to its maximum advantage instead of see every resource for its maximum disadvantage, is because I'm trying to glean and get as much knowledge, as much nuanced information as I can.
So I found Bright Black Honey quite a while ago, and I find that I don't always agree with everything that they post, but their takes are introspective and cause me to introspect, right? And they're thoughtful and nuanced. And I really, really enjoyed this video. It really resonated with me. It echoes topics that I've talked about at length over the years. And I wanted to address a couple of key points that they made in this video. So the subject of this video is I need to be allowed to not know things. And I find that being a social media creator is really overwhelming. The kind of parasociality that people have with you, where they superimpose their expectations and their hopes on you, and they think also that they know you because they see some content that you put out on the internet. And people really deeply invest in and build a lot of loyalty for their favorite creators, their favorite accounts. And then when they find out that that person is in fact a human being with a lot of flaws, a lot of baggage, that they're in process, that they don't know everything, they have imperfect and even incorrect opinions, they fuck up, they say the wrong thing now and then, or that they just disagree with you on a specific issue, it can kind of come crashing down, right? I've had a lot of people who will cancel me because I said one thing that they didn't like, or because I had one bad take, because people want their social media parasocial relationship to be one of like them with somebody who's always right, always perfect, reflects every right opinion. And we place a lot of value in that. And I think it's really, really toxic. Not only because it's setting y'all up for disappointment, that's why I'm constantly talking about like, hey, I'm a real person, got a lot of baggage, I'm really flawed. Sometimes I fuck up. When people come in my comments and say, girl, you never miss, I'm like, please don't say that. Or people say, you're my only source for, no, I should not be your only source for anything. With all love and kindness, don't rely on me to always be correct, and don't rely on me to be correct about a lot of things, and don't expect me to be able to speak confidently on or know like everything. I have huge gaps in my understanding, and I'm always growing and evolving, as we all should be. And so if you watch a video of mine from 5 or 7 years ago, guess what? I might not still hold the same opinion because I'm evolving as a person. As I learn more, then I'm going to change and adapt to my opinion, right? We learn better, we do better. And also, like, all of us are capable of just being shitty people sometimes and reacting out of our trauma or our ignorance, our own fragility and emotional distress. Like, we're all capable of that.
There's no perfect sources in this world, and this is not a justification for, aiding and abetting, profiting and resourcing evil in the world, right? This isn't some sort of justification that like no ethical consumption under capitalism type thing, but I want to speak to a fear that I have, which is that people only want me for the way that I'm able to provide information.
Same.
And that puts me on a pedestal that stops me from being a beginner.
Yep.
It stops me from being a learner. And it fundamentally prevents me from being a person.
Yeah. And also, I really love this idea of saying, hey, we can use flawed, imperfect sources. And the idea that you would like immediately cancel somebody because they quote somebody that's like problematic or you don't agree with. That's weird. That's not how you have community. I realize that social media is like, we could argue about whether there's community here. Yes, I think it exists in multiple ways, but it's not the same thing as like people that you have to live with and organize with. And a lot of the like knee-jerk instinct to presume the worst in people, to block people, to flip out when they do something that you don't like. There's no investment in each other in a way that requires working toward reconciliation or working through conflict. And so it means that people just hit that block button, or they make a snap judgment based on a tiny piece of information that often has gone through the like TikTok telephone process. Because I'll get people in my comments who are like, aren't you that bitch who said blah, blah, blah? No, that's not a thing that I said. That's not a position that I've ever held. Nope, actually, you're speaking about somebody who said something about me that wasn't true, and you believed it out of hand because they're a social media creator that you currently believe is perfect and flawless. And so you took something out of their mouth as gospel truth, or you saw somebody's third, fourth hand comment that's twisted something that someone else has said. And I've definitely been guilty in the past of seeing a creator that I respect make a claim about somebody else online or make an accusation or what have you. And I immediately believed it. And then I later found out, like, whoa, there's a lot more to this story. Maybe I shouldn't have reposted that video. Maybe I shouldn't have liked that comment. I acted way too swiftly, and I got to just pump the brakes and be like, I need more information before I jump to judgment. And I don't need to be purity testing people or making broad sweeping judgments against them because they quoted somebody, or right, like this creator, this person in their comments wants to cancel them because they quoted someone that they didn't like.
I don't like the idea of being pedestaled. I'm a firm believer in kill your idols. I'm a firm believer that we should all get really comfortable with the process of becoming as a place that we occupy instead of seeking a destination. So what that means for me is I need a lot of room. I need a lot of room to be imperfect. I need a lot of room to make mistakes. And of course, I'm not expecting every person to grant me the grace while I'm doing that. Certain mistakes I make will come at different expenses to different people. And that is largely based off of their lived experiences in relation to me and the privileges that I hold or the disadvantages or the oppression that they hold. And I have a lot of compassion for that. I just want to name that despite the conversations that we have here and the ways that I synthesize information, I hate the idea that not only would the things that I make, the things that I synthesize and process myself, for those to be used as a way to dunk on other people. I also hate the idea that I am somehow beyond help because y'all are here with me, because this platform was given to me by everyone here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a guy, you know? I'm just a guy worrying about, like, whether or not I have 15 or $40 for my groceries every month. I'm not some wise sage, and I'm not some infallible creature. Every take I make isn't going to be good, and I hope that some of you would have the capacity to be with me and course correct me as that happens.
Okay, so getting to the last thing I want to mention here is that they said they want space to be a beginner. I have some older videos about how it's so good to be a beginner in permaculture, because I have people who are often telling me, like, oh my gosh, your garden is, like 17 years old. I can't wait to get to a place where all my fruit trees are really mature and they're producing, and like my, my pawpaws and my persimmons are fruiting, which takes years and years. And I'm always trying to remind people that it's really good to be a beginner and just be starting on your journey. But on social media, we kind of expect everybody to be an expert. We expect everybody to have perfect opinions. There's this ex-MAGA creator, Carter Brown, I think. She left MAGA in 2025, and she's documenting that process. And she just got dogpiled really hard. And I made a response video to her. And I was saying in that video that people often expect ex-MAGA to like flip a switch and become suddenly woke, when that's not what deconstruction looks like. It's a very long journey that takes years and years and years as people are peeling back the onion, right? But we have this idea that people instantly change their opinions and they instantly shift their whole worldview, and they go from being problematic to like we expect them to be perfect in every way, which of course presumes that our opinion is perfect and unflawed and they need to conform to it. That's not how people operate in the real world. That's not what it looks like when we have relationships with real people in real life, right? But social media has these weird expectations. So I guess, I don't know, I wanted to share this video because I just enjoyed everything that they said there. I often have these goals for what I wish social media could be like in terms of content creation, kind of a lot more like what TikTok was like when I first got on it in 2024. Where people learned from each other and had conversations, and it was a back and forth, and it felt much more like a productive space. But I also just appreciated the way this creator was setting realistic expectations of how human beings operate, reminding us that we are all human, we're all very, very flawed, and we need to lean into that imperfection and lean into each other's humanity and our own humanity, and understand that that's so important in how we relate to each other. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the things that they said? Because I obviously found this video compelling enough that I wanted to share it and talk about it. What resonates with you in their message?